Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Jen Shah has been sentenced to 6.5 years in jail for a telemarketing scam which targeted vulnerable and elderly victims. Death, taxes, and Real Housewives stars getting caught up in criminal activity. Real Housewives of New Jersey's Teresa Giudice and her 11-month prison sentence walked so Jen Shah could run. The U.S. Justice Department said in a statement on Friday that Shah was an integral leader of a wide-ranging, nationwide telemarketing fraud scheme that victimized thousands of innocent people. From at least 2012 until her arrest in March 2021, which happened on camera, no less, Shah sold thousands of folks bogus services, which were promoted as money-making schemes. Jen Shah facilitated the sale of leads, contact details of people who were flagged as susceptible to the scheme, to sales floors which carried out the scam, the U.S. Justice Department said. Court documents showed that many of her victims were elderly or vulnerable, and suffered significant financial hardship and damage. At Shah's direction, victims were defrauded over and over again until they had nothing left, the U.S. Justice Department said. She and her co-conspirators persisted in their conduct until the victims' bank accounts were empty, their credit cards were at their limits and there was nothing more to take. As well as copping a 6.5-year prison sentence, Shah was ordered to forfeit $6 5 million AUD $9.4 million, 30 luxury items, 78 counterfeit luxury items and pay $6 6 million AUD $9.6 million in restitution. She was also sentenced to 5 years of supervised release. Shah apologized to the innocent people she'd hurt at her sentencing, for AP News. I struggled to accept responsibility for the longest time because I deluded myself into believing that I did nothing wrong, she said. For years I blamed other people for putting me in this position. I alone am responsible for my terrible decisions. It was all my fault and all my wrongdoing. I have no one to blame but myself. I wish I could have stood outside myself and seen the harm I was causing and changed course. I am profoundly and deeply sorry. I'm yelling at the level of delusion which makes you fail to realize you're committing a vile scam. Wasn't the fact that Jen Shah was actively preying on vulnerable and elderly people and defrauding them for everything they're worth not enough to make her realize that, something wasn't kosher? BFFR, please. When Shah was arrested in March 2021, she pleaded not guilty to charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The gal was so goddamn certain she hadn't done anything wrong that in the opening credits of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 2, her tagline was, "The only thing I'm guilty of is being Shah-mazing." She changed her plea to guilty, for the conspiracy to commit wire fraud, not related to being Shah-mazing, in July 2022, per Vulture. Jen Shah will have to surrender herself to prison on February 17 to kick off her sentence. It will not be a Shah-mazing day for her, if you will. Image, Getty Images, Chad Kirkland.